Good evening, everybody. My name is Andrew Shepard, Chair of the Townsend Planning Board. I call this meeting to order at 6:30 p.m. I'd like to have a roll call of the board members present. So please say your name for the record.
Carol House is present.
Hartley Parshaw present.
And Andrew Shepard present. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'd like to thank all of our veterans, those who are currently serving here and abroad, their families, and those who contribute their time to public service. We owe them our gratitude. This meeting is being recorded and will be uploaded to the Town of Townsend YouTube channel. I do not have any additions or deletions. Tonight, just a brief overview, we have a public hearing on a citizen's petition that will have a presentation from the citizen shortly once the hearing begins, and then it'll go towards, regardless of anything that we have for opinions, I believe it'll go to town meeting this upcoming Thursday to get voted on by the town. We have 4 minutes until the public hearing begins. So let's see if we can do anything else on the agenda. The meeting business board 3.1 receives preliminary subdivision approval application submitted by Kevin Smith and Kenneth Tully, subject property map 13, block 9, lot 0-0, Mason Road. We have Beth on, we don't have Beth on. So I believe, just double check my email. I think we just have to acknowledge receipt of it.
Okay.
I don't know if that requires a signature or just saying we've got it.
No, it doesn't require your signature, just a notification that you have received it.
Thank you, Beth. We've received it. Robert. Nice to have you. And then let's see, 3.2. We discuss and finalize planning board reports prepared for warrant Article 2, the MBTA Communities Multifamily Overlay District, and Article 6 petition to the special town meeting. I guess we can wait on that just until we go through that. Robert, welcome.
Thank you.
Glad to have you.
Thank you all of you for your condolences.
Absolutely.
Jen, thank you.
Sure. So just to bring you up to speed, tonight we have a public hearing at 6:35, so in 2 minutes, on a citizen's petition that we'll get a presentation for.
Okay.
Can everyone hear okay? I turned on the AC because it was pretty hot here when I first came in, but I know we have 2 minutes, but if you can't hear, just let me know and I'll turn it off. Be toasted.
I think we just sit tight. Anyone has any good jokes?
This is for
Yeah, I guess I gotta put that on my to-do list to get some time counting there.
What's orange? It sounds like a parrot. Parrot.
Oh,
Come on now.
All right.
Bend your toes.
Yeah.
You gotta have him though. It's a good first aid joke, or like break the extra. Where to go with that one?
I know.
Adam, are there many jokes in your public hearings?
Not so much though.
Yeah, all right. Let's see what that's an omen or not.
Yeah.
All right, 6:35. Let us open the public hearing. We'll open the public hearing at 6:35 p.m. I'd like to introduce the board members.
Darren House is present.
Robert Darian present.
Artie Flushaw, present.
And Andrew Shepherd, present. There's a public sign-in sheet that's been circulating. I believe everyone here is signed in. I see we have some individuals online. So read the legal ad. Hartley, would you mind reading the legal
No problem. Legal notice, Townsend Planning Board notice of public hearing. Pursuant to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 40A, Section 5, the Townsend Planning Board will hold a public hearing on Monday, September 22nd, 2025 at 6:35 PM in the Selectmen's Chambers, Townsend Town Hall, and via Zoom to consider the following citizens petition to amend the Townsend zoning bylaw. To see if the town will vote to amend section 145-26 residential districts, append text at the end of section 145-26 B14, notwithstanding any provision of this bylaw. To the contrary, an apartment/multifamily building as defined by section 145-5 is prohibited on the following parcels: Assessors Map 10, Parcel 52, Blood Road, and Assessors Map 10, Parcel 70, West Elm Street. Amend section 145-47, Open Space Multifamily Development, OSMD, insert at the end of section 145-47B, quote, the provisions of this section shall not apply to Assessors Map 10, Parcel 52, and Assessors Map 10, Parcel 70, close quote, or take any action in relation thereto. Interested parties may attend in person at the Selectmen's Chambers or participate remotely via Zoom. Meeting, okay, and the meeting ID, this is under Townsend Planning Board, Andrew Shepherd, Chair, Planning Board, published in the Groton Herald on September 5th, 2025, and September 12th, 2025.
Now I'd like to give you guys time, one of you, anybody, to present on the petition. If you want, you can come up here, you can do whatever.
Do you mind if I just sit here?
Yeah, you can, whatever you're comfortable with.
All right, thank you. Thank you to all the people who obtained signatures for this petition. Thank you to all who signed this petition to allow it to be heard at the special town meeting this Thursday. Thank you to the board, for this board, for allowing me to speak on behalf of the citizens' position. First, I wish to speak to the financial difficulties that have faced this town. If the town had offered this property to abutters or other interested parties to purchase directly at auction, the town could have been getting much tax revenue all these years, especially the years that the Affordable Housing Trust has had these properties in their possession, as other properties have been dealt with in this fashion. I am requesting a proposed change in the designation of parcels on Blood Road map 10, lot 52, and West Elm Street map 10, lot 70, for the following reasons that align with the goals of Townsend Master Housing Production Plan. This would help, these quotes, this would help preserve the landscape of woodlands, fields, and other natural resources, unquote. There are environmentally sensitive areas, and those are as evidenced by those pictures that are there. On these two parcels, lady slippers, which were kicked or trampled, never grow again. There are salamanders as referenced in the proposed pictures. A goal to help preserve agricultural land and be good stewards of forestry management. 2, to help reduce our collective carbon footprint. Keeping land in its natural state would assist with Townsend and Massachusetts green energy goals. Trees will contain greenhouse emissions and therefore help to combat climate change. I believe the town of Townsend would suffer irreparable damage and harm if there is no effort to preserve land also for agricultural purposes. I would propose a permanent agricultural easement on these properties to protect farmland. As abutters to these properties and owners of a small family farm with roots deep in the soil with agriculture, I believe that the town of Townsend would suffer irreparable harm if this proposed change does not occur. The state of Massachusetts has a farming action plan to preserve farming and farmland forestry, through forestry management. Also, the American Farmland Trust is active with this goal. Also, the Agricultural Commission is trying to get reactivated to assist with this process of looking at farmland and preservation. Massachusetts agricultural commissions have also been empowered to buy land for these purposes. This is something that must be explored before it's too late. According to the enclosed J.M. Goldman report prepared for the town of Townsend, it is a report for Townsend housing production 2022 through 2026. Regarding the soils of Townsend, most of these soils of Townsend are broken down into 4 different classifications. Looking at all the types listed are so poorly suited for sewage disposal. Some absorb but do not treat the waste from septic tanks. And I do have a map here from the soils, I believe in that packet, that says that part of the properties in 317C.
I think it's running with the pictures of
It was
Huntley.
a map.
I
I think we
think,
passed it around.
yeah, Huntley has it,
Yeah.
the one with the
Is
pictures.
this the map in question?
That is the said property with the plan, housing plan.
Oh.
The one with the photos of the plants?
Right. Okay,
Not
is
in
this looks like it might be it.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sorry.
Have you seen these, Carol?
Yes.
So anyways, basically that is saying that soil is extremely stony, has large boulders. That is a high water table, seasonal water table in that, I think that map that might be right here. And that is a drawback to put new developments there, and also it's part of 317B soils. And that is also very poor for a septic system, high stony, sandy soil, and the permeability is not good. It's not suitable for development, and the exact wording is on that paper with the map. Plus, that first part in West Elm Street is in the groundwater protection district. So I don't know if that's something that's been explored already with this site development. Sorry, I lost the train.
And quite frankly, I think being downhill of everybody's septic tanks, when we have a wet season, I think that whole hill is kind of developed to its full, honestly. Because in the spring, if it's a wet season, you can smell it, and everybody's got up-to-date septic systems, so, you know, it's gotta be drains out of the leach field ones, you know.
I understand that affordability for renters and housing is at crisis levels. Currently, people are losing their homes even in Townsend.
I didn't mean to
No,
interrupt. I'm
it's
sorry.
everybody
I'm
to speak.
terrible about
No, it's
that.
everybody to speak. If you have that, I'm glad you said it. Thank you. I've seen auction notices online and in the newspaper. I've seen listings for short sales to prevent foreclosures that still need people are losing their homes. It's not just a shortage of, which is a big issue, don't get me wrong, of housing and rental properties that are an issue here, but we're asked to dig deeper and deeper into our pockets. Sorry, a little nervous. How many more overrides have we had in the past 10 years? Now the Community Preservation Act has been, or anybody else who voted for it, I'm just sorry, everybody. First, potentially there are some of us that will be obliged to support this with increased asking for funding projects for affordable housing. The services will need to be increased proportionately. The more need for teachers, more safety personnel, fire, police, and ambulance. I would ask this board to consider some of the properties that have notices on them and are uninhabitable. Other properties that could be reused, recycled, or repurposed for adding to the affordable housing stock units and housing stock in Townsend in general. There's been recent zoning board public hearings for reconstruction of the units at 159 Brookline Road, map 38, block 9, lot 0. I understand that there was a building that the owner of Pine Ridge would like to replace on his site. This previous building had burned down. Has that been explored? This could add to the housing stock for Townsend as well as address the affordability issue, because the more housing units there are, supposedly the affordability is supposed to get better in town. That's what I've heard. also country estates, and I know these places, contribute much to Townsend's tax base. Also, this site does not address easy access to the town's amenities, such as the library, the town hall, the restaurants of Townsend. People who need affordable housing may not own a car. These sites previously mentioned would be walkable from areas such as Pine Ridge or country estates, not from my end of the town where there's nothing there and it's not easy to walk all that distance to town. Easily accessible areas would mean much to patronage of these amenities, restaurants. People would buy items or spend the money in town as opposed to just leaving to go to other areas for these, the area. There's no public transportation available, and there has not been previously a need for this. There was a bus at the library for this purpose, but no longer. We're talking about the MBTA, but that was another meeting. No easy access to the train in either direction. There's nothing located near these two properties, nothing that would attract people to this area. There are other areas that are in the Affordable Housing Trust at present that could be developed, such as South Road Road, Hickory Road, map 25, block 5. No, it's a lot 5, block 1. Maybe I got that mixed up, I'm sorry. There already is water line hookup that is available to these properties. As far as affordability is concerned, many current residents of Townsend with this current high tax bracket and beyond may not be able to continue to afford in this area much longer. What to live. To all the members of this planning board, I urge you to consider the usage of these two properties. Thank you for your consideration. I also have one other piece of paper that was some input from some citizens. Vote yes on Article 6. Protect Townsend from high density, thank you, housing in the sensitive areas. Why this matters. We support affordable housing. At a recent town meeting, we voted to put parcels into affordable housing. Given that the parcel on West Elm was suitable for one home and the one on Blood Road, potentially two, it seemed like a reasonable request to put them in the trust. Now the housing authority is combining lots and proposing 10 buildings on the 7 acres, as evidenced by the, you all have that, right? It seemed like a reasonable request to put them in the trust. Now the housing authority is combining lots and proposing 10 buildings on 7 acres. These parcels include wetlands, critical wildlife habitats, and other areas rich in nature and endangered plants, land that is essential to Townsend's identity, environment, and long-term resilience. The town requires 8 acres. I'm not 100% sure this, I can stand corrected, I'm sorry. Maybe you can correct me, 8 acres for an apartment and 500 feet of frontage. The Elm Street lot does not qualify in either category. The Blood Road has the frontage, but not the lot size. Essentially, what the housing trust is creating is spot zoning. I don't know, you can correct me if I'm wrong. It would be okay for this parcel, but not others, or it starts a snowball of large developments in what is zoned for single-family housing unless you have 8 acres. Under current zoning, each lot could have a primary home and a secondary accessory apartment, which would be fitting with our understanding of the vote and provide affordable opportunities. And you have the picture of, I think most people in the room have the picture of the concept. Environmental risks of high density housing, the wetland impact. Wetland filters water, reduce flooding, and provide critical wildlife habitat. Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act emphasizes that these areas are public resources that cannot be casually developed. Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40. Once harmed or lost, it cannot be replaced. On the back side. Wildlife habitat. Townsend sits within a biodiversity-rich corridor. High-density housing, in this case, high land coverage and impervious parking, fragments habitats and threatened species ranging from amphibians to pollinators. Studies show habitat fragmentation leads to long-term declines in both wildlife populations and native plant diversity. Haddad et al. Science 2015. Flood and climate impact. Developments in wetlands and destruction of wetlands increase storm damage risk to homes and infrastructure, placing financial burdens on taxpayers. FEMA 2023. Better housing solutions for rural communities. High-density housing is an urban solution that does not fit Townsend rural character or land use constraints. Townsend lacks transportation and other infrastructure to support high-volume, low-income housing. Although the March 2025 land trust meeting only discussed 10% being affordable. Other innovative alternatives include cluster housing instead of building on sensitive land. Homes are grouped on smaller lots while keeping large portions of land in permanent open space. But it doesn't look like the current one does, but I could be wrong, that's my opinion. This preserves rural character, reduces infrastructure costs. American Planning Association, 2022. Accessory dwelling units, ADUs, allowing smaller apartments or in-law units on existing residential lots, expands housing options without consuming new land. Massachusetts Departments of Housing and Community Development, 2021. Low-impact design, smaller scale housing integrated with green buffers. Permeable surfaces and conservation subdivisions protects wetlands and preserves open space. Problematic process. Town residents were not fully informed before lots were proposed for transfer that a high-density development was being proposed. True community planning and development requires transparency, open hearings, and resident involvement, not an after-the-fact process that deviates from the single-family nature of the area and zoning bylaws. Yes, please vote yes. In the short term, reject high-density housing on environmentally sensitive town lots. Affordable housing can still be built in adherence to the current zoning bylaws. In the long term, require transparent community engagement before any land transfer to the housing authority. Pursue rural appropriate housing solutions that expand opportunity without destroying wetlands, wildlife, and open space. Let's ensure Townsend's future depends on smart growth and not development that threatens our natural resources and rural characters. Thank you.
All right. Next, I'd like to, and thank you for putting that together and reading it.
Very comprehensive.
I'd like to go through the mandatory referrals, and then we have town council who's also commented as well. So I'll just read the, what we have in front of us first. So this is from the zoning board of appeals. No comment. This is from the board of selectmen. Each board of select person submitted a comment. So this is from the select board chair, Laura Schifrin. It says, I do not recommend the restriction on individual owners' property rights under the law, restrictions that are not otherwise governed by Conservation Commission, Board of Health, and Building Inspector. This is a little bit longer. This is also the Board of Selectmen. This one is from, I believe, Veronica Kell, Select Board Vice Chair. This says, the two properties referenced in Article 6 of the special town meeting warrant for the September 25th, 2025 are properties that were transferred to the Affordable Housing Trust by vote of the townspeople at the May 2022 annual town meeting for the specific purposes of creating affordable housing. The citizens petitioned article is an attempt to prevent multifamily housing on these parcels, to provide a historical timeline of the Affordable Housing Trust. January 2020, the Affordable Housing Trust created by vote of the townspeople at special town meeting, October 2020. First, the Affordable Housing Trust. Okay, so then first, the Townsend Affordable Housing Trust Board was seated May 2022, and then maybe I'm looking at this one.
Then it was May 2020.
I am going through this better. So January 2020, Townsend Affordable Housing Trust was created by a vote of the townspeople. October 2020, the Townsend Affordable Housing Trust Board was seated. May 2022, 6 properties recommended by the townspeople, the Town Properties Committee transferred to the Townsend Affordable Housing Trust by a vote of the townspeople at the annual town meeting. Fall of 2022, a DLTA grant awarded by MRPC, the Montezuma Regional Planning Commission, to write a 5-year action plan for the Affordable Housing Trust. April 2023, a 5-year action plan was completed. January of 2024, the Affordable Housing Trust works with the Massachusetts Housing Partnership, who provided technical assistance grant for a site feasibility and pre-development activities on the 6 properties the Affordable Housing Trust owns. After reviewing the 5-year action plan, the Massachusetts Housing Partnership deemed the properties at Assessor's Map 10, Parcel 52, Blood Road, and Assessor's Map 10, Parcel 70, West Elm Street, as the most advantageous for the creation of affordable housing, and pre-development work was done on these properties. Example, checking for the presence of wetlands. In February of twenty
I'm
twenty,
sorry, what year did they check the presence of the wetland?
What month too?
that said, what did I say? February. Wait a minute. Example.
It was likely done last spring.
Yeah, I don't know if this, but I gotta finish reading these, and then we'll get to comments and such. Hey, hey, no one to the breathing. I gotta finish these comments before we get into comments. In February of 2025, the Affordable Housing Trust received a concept from the Massachusetts Housing Partnership for housing on the 7 acres at the property at the corner of West Elm and Blood Road. Concept attached. The Affordable Housing Trust planned next step for this property is to go forward with community meetings to inform the request for proposals process with the intent to have a RFP, request for proposals, out in the spring of 2026. With any development, the Affordable Housing Trust goal is to ideally stay within the current bylaws and regulations of the town of Townsend. I am requesting that the planning board not support this article as it removes the ability of the Affordable Housing Trust to meet this goal. In addition, please note that there is no option for affordability in the proposed bylaw for the MBTA communities, restricting what can be done on properties designated by the town for affordability does a disservice to the residents of the town, both those just starting out and those looking to downsize and remain in town. Signed by Veronica Kell, Select Board Vice Chair, and the Select Board Representative to the Townsend Affordable Housing Trust. We've got a copy of the plan, which we've already seen. Is this the same letter? Oh, this would have been easier to read. I believe this is the same letter in a better format. I'm not going to reread it. This is another comment from Valerie Goodrich, the Select Board Clerk. The comment goes, in a town with growing home prices and a lack of affordable housing options, both for working families and senior citizens, the town voted at town meeting to establish an affordable housing trust, enabling the construction of more affordable units in Townsend. This amendment would inhibit that effort as previously determined to be important to the town. Retirees, school employees, and municipal employees could all benefit from the creation of more affordable housing in Townsend. The Conservation Commission has no comment. The Highway Department also has no comment. And then I would like, Adam, if you could take a moment and just kind of talk through the memo that you shared with us earlier on your thoughts as town council.
So I'm gonna stand up just so I'm not hiding behind the board here. So I was asked just at the end of last week, so it only was provided today, though it's public record, it was not presented in attorney-client privilege format, so anybody who wants to see it after the meeting certainly has access to it. I provided a very brief memo. The question that I was asked, and that I'm referring here to my phone because I prepared this and finalized it today, so I didn't even have a chance to print it out before I came to the meeting tonight. Oh, look at this, you've got it printed?
Yes, sir.
I think that's the email.
That's just for us to email. I have something more comprehensive. You may not have seen again. So the request that I received was to comment on the quote, potential legal impacts and consequences for the town and its residents should the proposed zoning amendment be adopted. That's pretty standard language. I get those requests very often when it comes to citizens petitions to chime in to offer my legal perspective. So what I'm not going to talk about tonight is I'm not going to address the Affordable Housing Trust objectives with respect to this site. Any development proposals that may have been discussed or may be possible on the site. That's not my role as town council. My role as town council is to review this from a strictly legal perspective and to opine on whether I believe this rezoning can happen legally, whether it will pass muster with the Attorney General, because any town bylaw amendment has to be submitted to the Attorney General after it's voted upon at town meeting for approval. and then whether I think it would be susceptible to challenge in the event that there were to be an after the fact challenge. So where I started in my memo was addressing the home rule authority that municipalities have. And many of you may know this, but in Massachusetts, we're a home rule authority state. What that means is that every one of the 351 cities and towns have it within their authority to adopt zoning that they deem appropriate for their communities. Zoning is not done from the top down as it is in many states in the country. Zoning is a local matter in Massachusetts. So cities and towns adopt their own ordinances and bylaws. But there's a framework and there are some limitations upon that because the state does have a zoning act that provides for a baseline of protections that are afforded to individuals throughout the Commonwealth and certain restrictions on what a municipality may and may not do. And one of those restrictions is in Chapter 48, Section 4. It's often referred to as the uniformity provision. And what the uniformity provision says is when you as a municipality are adopting zoning and you're dividing your community into zoning districts, you have to be uniform or consistent with respect to each class of use or structure that's permitted within the same district. And I heard a reference made already to the phrase spot zoning in a presentation that was done a bit earlier tonight. I think it was used incorrectly because the reference to spot zoning was whether a developer would spot zone. Developers can't spot zone, municipalities can spot zone. And what happens when you spot zone, it's just like it sounds, is you as a municipality choose to single out, usually it's one parcel, but it can be a group of parcels, but a relatively small number or small size of parcels. You single it out, and most often what is referred to as spot zoning is when you single this parcel out or these parcels out for more favorable treatment than what surrounds it. So the idea is a well-connected property owner in a community comes to the planning board or to the administration and says, I'd love to be able to do something much more intense on my property than the current zoning allows. Can you please rezone my property and only my property, nothing else that surrounds it? There may be 400 acres of residential zone properties around me, but I want you to rezone my property for a commercial strip plaza because I want to put in a shopping plaza. And that gets done. Well, that's showing favoritism toward that particular property owner. And it's also allowing for uses on this single site that would be prohibited in all the surrounding sites on similarly situated properties within the same district. So again, going back to this concept of uniformity, you're not providing uniformity. So the courts have said, and there's a whole body of case law, 40, 50 years worth in Massachusetts that says you can't single out parcels for more favorable zoning treatment. But there's also the flip side of this spot zoning context, which the courts have referred to as reverse spot zoning, where you single out a parcel not for more favorable treatment, but for more restrictive treatment. Because the opposite happens, because maybe neighbors show up and say, we really don't want this to occur or that to occur on a particular property. So please downzone the property. Please make it more difficult for somebody to do that on this property. We don't want you to zone all the properties around it to prohibit that from occurring, but just prohibit it from occurring on this one site or these two sites or these three sites, this spot within the larger zoning district. So in my mind, when I saw this proposal, the first thing that came to mind was that it looked to me like it could be spot zoning. Now, I'm not offering an opinion here that it is spot zoning. That's an opinion that only the Attorney General can offer or a court of law can offer if there's a challenge. But what I will tell you is that when a proposal like this is put forth, it's an immediate red flag because you're singling out, in this case, two very specific properties, so much so that the zoning
They're
petition.
connected in the same wetland zone, even though they're not wet now, they have been in the past. And one of the reasons we didn't do the roads in Blood Road so far was because of wet.
Right, and that's fine, and I'm not gonna speak to wetlands because that's even beyond the purview of this planning board. Wetlands is a conservation commission issue, wetlands is under a whole different statutory scheme. I've heard reference already to chapter 131, section 40, chapter 40, section 131, that's the Wetlands Protection Act, that's the Conservation Commission's jurisdiction. So if this property can't be developed because it's wet, or because it has environmentally sensitive resources on it, that's an issue for the Concom to address, not an issue for the zoning bylaw to address, not an issue that's even within the purview of the planning board, and not something that the Attorney General or any court will consider if there's a spot zoning challenge. So again, my purview is very limited here. I'm simply looking at this question as, does this constitute spot zoning, or more appropriately, reverse spot zoning, or does it not? And I'm concerned. I'm concerned that when this gets to the AG may either reject it or may issue an approval subject to a caveat that it could be reverse spot zoning. And I'm concerned that if there were to be a challenge by some citizen or some developer or proposed developer of a property like this, that they would allege that this constitutes reverse spot zoning. Because to me, this is sort of a textbook case of reverse spot zoning. The way that you typically get around reverse spot zoning as a municipality is you show that the effort to rezone a particular parcel is the consequence of some sort of an extensive planning process. And so if you can show that, well, actually, we looked very carefully at the spot that we're rezoning, and you can look at the last 6, 9, 12 months worth of planning board meetings and discussions that were had at town meeting and select board meetings, and we've engaged in the third-party outside consultant, and we've determined that for planning, due to a legitimate planning rationale, this site can't be used for this particular purpose, then maybe you could justify what would otherwise be spot zoning. But that's a concern I have. So that's the essence of what my memo said, that I have the concern. I think it would be subject to challenge. But again, I'm not expressing an opinion on whether this is the right thing to do, whether town meeting should vote in favor of it. That's beyond my purview. That's for town meeting voters to decide. And ultimately, tonight, it's for this board to decide whether or not to support it.
Thank you, Adam.
Well, I'm speaking from a geology, geomorphology.
So we're gonna
point,
get
not
to
a
public
spot
comment,
zone.
or we're gonna get to more discussion shortly, but I got one more, community, what do we call it? Concerned citizen comment, and then we get to the planning board questions or comments, and then I think we can open it up, I believe. And then we have planning board discussion, and then questions and comment. This was submitted, we received a comment from Select Board Chair Lori Schifrin, but now we have a comment from citizen Lori Schifrin. This is via email. It says, I'm unable to attend your public hearing on Monday, the 22nd. I am writing my opinion as a resident and voter of Townsend regarding the attempt of spot zoning on this warrant article. The town-owned property was transferred to the Townsend Housing Trust by a town meeting vote. Grant funds were used to assess the options for the future use / saleability of the land to gain funds for the trust. There was a great deal of discussion at that meeting for more affordable housing for all town employees, i.e. firefighters, police officers, teachers to have more opportunities to purchase in Townsend. Affordable housing, I believe doesn't automatically mean Section 8 housing or changing the flavor of our town / community, as some of the petitioners have voiced. Because these town-owned parcels adjacent to other privately owned properties does not meet the abutters or any other petitioners. Because these town-owned parcels adjacent to other privately owned properties does not meet the abutters or any other petitioners have rights to use this land recreationally. Respectfully, Lori E. Schifrin, 28 Barker Hill Road, Townsend, Mass. Okay, so we've had the presentation from the public. We've gone through our mandatory referrals. We've had one.
Should be in one of the packets from Mr. Garside, the building commissioner.
Did he say something? I thought he
He
said.
did, or Beth has it.
All right, let's see if it's in the. Beth, do you know where it is in the?
Putting it on the screen now.
Okay, thank you.
I put it up on the screen for you.
Well, all right, I get to cheat here, I think. So this is from the building commissioner and comments. I see no reason that these 2 lots / parcels should be singled out as not to allow multifamily. The table of use allows multifamily within the RA, RB districts with special permit from the ZBA and should not be expected. Bob Garside. So we've gone through all of our referral comments to my knowledge. We've gone through the one citizen submission comment. And now we're at the point where planning board questions or comments relative to the rationale for the proposal, applicable code, impacts, etc. So open it up to the board. Any questions or comments or initial thoughts?
I think it would be helpful if we have town council describe our purview here, so the public's aware of that. Just so everybody's on the same page of where we are our involvement, the limits of our involvement and stuff.
Adam, would you mind commenting on the scope of the planning board in this matter?
Sure. I think I can do that briefly. So the role of the planning board with any zoning proposal, any proposal to adopt new zoning or amend existing zoning, is simply to offer a report with recommendations to town meeting. It's not the function of the planning board to vote to approve a zoning change that requires action by town meeting and approval by the Attorney General. But under Chapter 48, Section 5, whether the zoning amendment arises as a consequence of a process that was undertaken by the planning board itself or some other board or commissioner committee or through citizens petition, every zoning proposal needs to make its way through the planning board as a prerequisite to town meeting action. So the role of this board is simply to review the proposal and to either offer its support or its opposition to the proposal and to ultimately vote on a report and a recommendation to town meeting. And presumably you would do that at the conclusion of tonight's meeting, and that report would be, is typically read aloud at town meeting prior to a vote on the amendment.
I would also like Adam to address and define the term affordability in its legal nature.
Sure. So I'm gonna caveat this by saying that the opinion I offered earlier relative to potential reverse spot zoning is an opinion I would have offered whether this property or these two properties were owned by the Affordable Housing Trust, as I know they are, or anybody else, somebody I don't know, some resident or citizen of the community, has nothing to do with who owns the property. I understand that that may be the impetus behind the proposal because there was concern about how the property might be used by the Affordable Housing Trust, but the spot zoning analysis applies irrespective of who the owner of the property might be. So I'm happy to offer a definition of affordability, but it hasn't really factored into my analysis. When it comes to affordability, there are different definitions in Massachusetts law for what constitutes affordable housing. When most of you think about affordable housing, you think of this state inventory that's published, the subsidized housing inventory. It's on what used to be DHCD's website. It's now known as the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Community. And they keep this tally for every one of the cities and towns in the state. And they determine the percentage of your dwelling units that constitute affordable, quote unquote, housing. And there's this 10% standard that you're supposed to satisfy. And once you meet that 10% standard, you are immune to unfriendly projects like Chapter 40B projects. To qualify as affordable housing on that inventory, a particular housing unit, whether it's a for sale unit or it's a rental unit, has to be affordable to a household that earns 70 to 80% of the area median income. Doesn't mean that that's a maximum. It can be less. It can be Section 8 housing, which is 30% of area median income. It can be in the 50 to 60% range. So there's no bottom limit on what constitutes affordable, but there is an upper limit on what constitutes affordable. And so the area median income is calculated based upon these metropolitan statistical areas that the U.S. Housing and Urban Development Department has defined, and they include many of the communities that surround you. And it's based upon household size, and so there's a sliding scale from a household of one individual to a household of 8 individuals. And they determine what is affordable to a household that is earning 70 to 80% of that area median income, and that's considered to be affordable. So there's no simple answer to that question. I try to give examples when I'm asked the question because often there's a request for a comparison between what many people know as Section 8 housing and what affordable housing typically means these days in the context of Chapter 40B developments and local inclusionary zoning bylaws, which is that 70 to 80% range, which is 2.5 times that 30% mark that would apply to Section 8 housing. And what I give as examples typically are, you know, a family of 3 or 4, maybe a single parent, maybe spouses, and with professions like police officers, firefighters, school teachers. Those are the professions that very often, in my experience, fall into the categories and qualify for the supportive housing. I'm involved on behalf of many of our communities in assisting and conveying these units, and I see many of these units purchased by those sorts of individuals that maybe want to reside in the communities where they're working or nearby, and they qualify for this type of housing. That's about the shortest answer I can give to a complicated question.
Any more questions or comments from the board?
I just have a clarification question. I know where Laurie said, you know, the affordable housing for all town employees. Can affordable housing be designated only for town employees or town residents?
So not only for town residents or town employees, again, this is actually a very much a hot button topic and has been for as long as I've been practicing. I can remember I had meetings at the State House 15 years ago on this issue of local preference is what it's referred to, a preference that is provided for new affordable housing built in your community for those who are already in your community, or those who work in your community, or those with children in your community school systems. And it used to be 20 years ago that municipalities could require a local preference for up to 70 or 80% of the units within the affordable units within a development. The state has cracked down a bit on that and has made it more difficult to establish that local preference. You have to show that in imposing that local preference or in providing for that local preference, there will be no disparate impact to protected classes. That you're not going to have, that there's not going to be a discriminatory effect by virtue of you providing this local preference. What was noticed in many communities was that if you're in a community where the demographics are such that maybe your community is 85 or 90% white, but when you take 70 to 80% of the units in development that are affordable and you designate them local preference, by virtue of basic math, you're providing 70 to 80% of those units and a great probability to white people in your community. And that has a disparate or a discriminatory impact on protected classes. And so there's now a process that needs to be established to show that your imposition of a local preference won't have that effect. So the short answer to your question is you can't limit it to people that work in the community or people who currently live in the community. You can try to impose a local preference if you can meet that heightened standards.
So, because I hear this all the time about, you know, this is gonna be for town employees. In actuality, it may not be.
That's correct. Town employees, if they meet
So-
if they meet the income limitations and the asset limitations to qualify for affordable housing, would have the ability to sort of throw their hat in the ring, right?
Right. But
join
there's
the
no
lottery.
specific saying, guarantee that they will get that house.
There is no guarantee. That's
So that's why whenever I see people saying, well, this is all for the town employees, that's really not a true statement.
I think to say it, and I know you referred to Lori's email or to her letter.
And I think
didn't see it
Veronica
word for
said,
word.
Veronica said the same thing, but because it
So
says,
it may provide opportunities to those individuals, but it certainly couldn't be limited or guaranteed to those
So-
individuals.
then I just want that clarification.
Sure.
Thank you.
Do you have any more thoughts, Robert? Or how about Hartley before we get to Robert?
Okay, nothing at this time, thank you.
All right.
Robert?
Yes, well, I've been on this board for over 3 years, I believe. And prior to my being on this board, I, as a layperson, felt affordable was for us and was told it was for our teachers and our firefighters and our policemen. So in the course of my position on this board, I've learned otherwise. And what I have learned, or what I was aware of, is affordability value is priced upon what I found in this town, Middlesex County. And if you consider the towns within Middlesex County, there are a lot of very affluent towns, much more affluent than Townsend. And so the average affordable housing for us locally versus what it is on a county level is significantly different. And so it ends up, for example, the mean market value of property in Cambridge or Arlington or Lexington is far more higher than ours. So relatively speaking, if you're from Lexington or Arlington, this is truly an affordable house. But from our perspective locally, it is not. And we don't have any control on that. And we are subject to our county values or how they determine the prices. So in terms of what I want the public here to be aware of is affordable is not the way you think, you know, buying an automobile is affordable comparatively. And so I've been very disappointed with the program at large. And then the other thing that I've experienced here with these proposals that have come before this board, and as you understand, our board, our role as a planning board is to not get involved with conservation and the other jurisdictions that other regulatory agents have, but in looking at the actual site plan. So, and then I find that developers repeatedly use the same plan over and over, which makes pretty monotonous looking buildings. There's a lack of concern of the actual occupants. Their focus is building as much as possible for the most profit. And so through my course and my presence on this board, I've been trying to implement zoning changes that, and you'll see coming forward, with terms like wellness and the well-being of the people that are occupying the buildings. And I just wanted the public to be aware of what affordable really means, and that's why I asked Alan to speak on that. And I wanted the public to be aware of the jurisdiction that this board has. So again, I have no other comments than to move on with this discussion in the article without getting into a lot of emotional language. But I think I got those 2 points across. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Anything else? Anything else from the board thus far? No? All right. I think my only comments is that I am concerned hearing, the potential Adams review of this being potentially spot zoning. But ultimately, I do see it as a decision that'll come up at town meeting this upcoming Thursday. So that's, that's kind of where my head's at right now.
I have an issue with the spot zoning question too.
So I think we're now at a point we can open it up for public comment or question.
My first comment is, quite frankly, I've been involved in other things and didn't even know that they had zoned that for building at all. I think that whole area is pretty much the bottom of the hill, and because of the number of people, the septic leaching, it does move downhill, and it isn't all filtered out. We're in a lot of sand, and there's, the less vegetation there is to process this stuff, the more further downhill we're gonna get the smell. And I don't care who's gonna build. I don't care if it's affordable. I don't care if it's a mini mansion. I don't care if it's just one person gonna build on the whole thing. I really think that this side of that hill is done. The other side is Old City and New Pittsburgh, that drains different. So I don't think we're spot zoning. I think we're eliminating a potential future hazard with the downhill water. And it's a migration path too. Wildlife still has a migration path through there. And I think those are the main things I wanted to point out. I don't care who lives there. I don't think we should be developing there. I think there's more suitable land somewhere else in this town.
Sure, all right.
And I wouldn't, if I could afford it, I'd buy it myself and let the town have the money from that and just.
I think I saw Stan Andrews' hand first, and then we'll go.
I'm just gonna respond to something that my sister said. Cindy said something about there are numerous houses being foreclosed, and perhaps being abandoned. I would like to see those explored before we attempt to develop the land, such as the Blood Road properties, the parcels. I mean, there are more avenues, in my opinion, and I think a lot of people see it too. And as far as the affordability aspect, I'm really not happy about the fact that any affordability is not gonna be advantageous towards the townspeople who want to stay here. That's my take.
Thank you.
Oh,
I just have a
Yeah,
question,
sure,
because, excuse me, this is the first time I've seen this map.
sure.
Is that an actual proposal from the housing authority?
So, that is from,
Concept plan.
Yeah, it's a concept.
yeah,
I have one question about that too.
So,
we haven't received as the planning board, like any formal submissions for
Yeah.
building.
Conceptual preliminary plan.
okay, so it would essentially be another road that runs parallel to Blood Road.
no,
That the houses would be built on.
That's
it's a driveway.
That's the conception.
And it would be
Yeah,
10
right,
houses.
so that way.
Does any,
No, there's 10 buildings.
10 buildings.
10 buildings, I don't, does anybody know how many units that
Well,
represents?
it looks like 3.
Just, Chairman Shepherd,
20,
Yeah, it's within the
it's 20
plan.
per building, so 2 per.
there'd be 20
Yeah, okay.
units.
This is, see, this is like
I think Kim has some comments.
3
Okay.
So to
driveways.
clarify, the concept was provided by a consultant to the Housing Trust on March 20th, 2025, without any input from community members. And it is 10 units. There are 20 units with 3 bedrooms, 5 units with 2 bedrooms, and 5 units with 1. They're proposing the driveway off of Elm Street West. In our zoning bylaws, it says that if you're to put an apartment building, the frontage is supposed to be 500 feet, and that frontage is 318 feet. It also says if you're to put an apartment building, it's supposed to be 8 acres, this parcel is 7 acres. Under 145-37, it also says that a driveway is supposed to be 1,000 feet. I haven't measured yet what they are proposing on the driveway that's shared. It also says if you're to put an apartment, that there's only supposed to be 1 and not multiple. So while Attorney Costa says that what Ms. King has proposed is spot zoning or reverse spot zoning, I would also say to our community that what is proposed by this consultant is also a type of spot zoning. It is an allowed use of overdevelopment of a parcel that is wet, perpetually wet outside of the wetlands. I would challenge that there's vernal pools on there that are not accounted for. There's lady slippers growing throughout that property. There's other floral fauna that is there. You walk anytime across from the folks that live there, and there are critters abound that call that property home. So from a perspective of that, there was a builder that built up to that property, that did build on that property. Just like when we spent a lot of money to buy some other open space that builders were not building on, oftentimes there's not. So when this came before our town, in May 2022, I actually walked up to the microphone. Leslie DeWolso was on the other side and said, I'm going up against you. I said, I think we're actually on the same side of this one, because environmentally, that property is extremely sensitive. It actually flows down to a perennial stream. So it's in with 200 feet. The driveway that they're citing is right on the 200-foot mark of that perennial stream. So it's an extremely sensitive area. And I see this having grown up of one of the biggest developments of high-density housing on West Meadow Road. I see this having lived at Pine Ridge. So I am not in my backyard. I appreciate housing. This is just an extremely sensitive lot. I happen to live close to it, but it's very sensitive. When it was being transferred out of town into the housing trust, I said, why are we doing this? This is not a viable option. I was on the master plan. I advocated for high density housing, that we rethink. I actually, since our last meeting, went and took some pictures to bring to a planning board of some communities that are really doing some clever options to bring affordability. And when I listened to all the tapes, which the amount of time that I spend listening to tapes is inordinate, and to hear the housing trust say that 10 of these are actually low income, which low income is for our peers, our community members. It's not low income as Attorney Costa said, affordability is based on all of Middlesex County. So to only have 10% of this proposed site, 4 folks can actually afford it in our community, flies in the face of what we're actually trying to do. So it's not a good lot for multiple properties. When it got voted on, so well, good luck to whoever tries to develop that. The fact that this comes before us as a concept without input. I don't know what happened at the July meeting because it wasn't taped, but I understand that that was the meeting to talk about the cost to the consultant to develop the RFP. But in our fiscally trying times in our community,
Different RFP,
okay, so that was the RFP for
for the sale of the parcel on Haynes Road.
on Haynes Road. So what happened to the discussion of the RFP? You were gonna be for the consultant to develop the RFP for this, because the last meeting that was taped, the feedback was that, our town council was not gonna be able to develop that RFP.
Which RFP was that?
The RFP to get the bid for this, the consultant had said in the meeting that,
You need to have funding for it, and we don't have the funding for it.
right,
So it's just sort of sitting.
so it's just sitting there. Thank you for clarifying, because that July meeting didn't get taped, so
Yeah.
we don't know the results of that. So I don't know if we can deviate and have them explain. It costs money to develop the RFP, to go to bid, to have someone bid on this actual property. And where you said that this might happen in the spring, the actual cycle for funding for people to get in, doesn't that actually start this fall?
Mhm.
So we would miss that cycle.
Technically, it was an RFP to request to solicit public input and feedback.
Right,
That's what we're gonna hire a consultant for, and then bring that feedback back and then design the RFP.
right,
In lieu of what the public were hoping for.
right. So
it's
if
a
that's,
little-
so if that's not happening, in your, this is like your bailiwick, but because we didn't see what happened in July, if that schedule is off, what would be the trajectory now for this project? And I know that's putting you on the spot, you might not have it.
We have that funding. So we have $0, and until we have $8,000 or so for a study, nothing happens.
Help me on this. Housing trust money, can they fund it without a town meeting vote?
Depends on the amount in procurement with your town administrator.
And I'm asking not to bug you, but to give perspective for all of us, can this even go forward at this point? Because while I don't think it's the right project, and I'm always game to roll the dice of litigation, no litigation. If it gets shot down, with a no instead of a yes vote, it might be delayed, that there's time to try to fix something in our bylaws. We should be protected under 145-37, except for it can come under 40B, to try to develop that site through the housing trust, I would guess. So there's that potential. It also gives us time to try to figure out how to target harder that, but you can't against 40B. If someone comes in with 40B, it doesn't matter. But that's why I was asking those questions, because I didn't know what happened with that July process of where we were with that cycle.
Yeah.
But it sounds like
The different,
we're kind of a year away.
yeah, I mean, affordable housing projects and plans take years to even getting shovels in the ground.
Yep,
And you're seeing it in like communities nearby where you have 180 apartments planned in Pepperell. It's gonna take them 7 years before they actually put a shovel in the ground. And
Yeah.
the world will probably flip
Well, and
over
that's
4 or
been-
5 times.
and that's been 4 or 5 years in the making.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, Cindy.
Like previously stated in the citizens input that, this probably has no role in the planning board, but I don't fully believe either as to people really knowing what they were voting for. And the fact is that, like Mr. Therian stated, people thought affordable in theory, that's a wonderful thought. I'd love to see affordable housing. But in theory, this is not intending to go where it's supposed to go. Either in sight or in theory. Like I say, I mean, we picked those two spots supposedly were feasible for all those reasons mentioned. But again, when you mention for people with moderate income or accessibility to sites, is, who's gonna walk from Blood Road to, the center of town? That kind of thing, and all those amenities. But plus, when it was voted on at town meeting, again, people did not know, and that it's affecting us this way forward. I believe it's probably not even with, just regarding those two properties, to tell you the truth. I mean, all those properties, people had no idea about any of those properties being developed in such a way that it might be counterintuitive to the whole purpose. The fact is, this is like the start, I think, of a way for people to try to get to more creative solutions. As far as having more housing stock in general, that's supposed to decrease the prices of housing. So that in itself would make Townsend more of an affordable place to live. Never mind doing these kind of spot zoning or reverse zoning or whatever you want to call it. It's not that anybody's against affordable housing. It's gotta be affordable for the people who live here and not cost the citizens more and all that fallout that I was describing. But it's gonna be affordable for people coming into all stages of their life, coming into town, starting out, people aging in place. There's gotta be a better mechanism than this stuff that is dividing the town, because that's what it is. This is very divisive, and it shouldn't be that way. There's gotta be a better way.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Robert. I think being on this board and being in tune with a lot of different housing programs that come before this board, I have a general observation that I would think that affordable housing can be achieved, and I'm directing this to housing authorities about how they approach these projects. And it seems to me that it's a quick remedy to have a massive project and get it all out of the way at once to deliver an objective established by the legislature for 20% affordable housing. So when you deal with projects of that magnitude, it generates all of these issues. So I think housing authorities, in my opinion, should be more focused on smaller projects with less densities in multiple areas instead of concentrating them in one large project to make the problem go away. Secondly, the town's not aware probably of how many housing programs are subject to communities here. And when you look at them, all the different ones, 40B, affordable housing, age-restricted housing, elderly housing, and there are probably more that I can't even mention. So all of those are available to developers, okay? So why? So if you imagined that a developer went into a community and implemented each one of those programs, how many housing units you would have at one time. The other thing is, I get very upset because this is all a bureaucratic view on things, when the bottom line is, through technology, through construction practices, and if affordable housing can be done in real economic terms rather than subsidies from communities and state funds and grants. So in that respect, my opinion is let it go. Let the developers find a way to provide less expensive housing instead of coming to us to provide it. And there are other incentives a town can use besides to encourage more housing or reduce cost. And I'll give you a couple of suggestions. I don't know, somebody's got to implement them. I don't have much life left, okay? But there's a lot of properties in town that the town owns through tax revenue or, you know, or what's considered unbuildable lots. Specific ones of those can have a lot of relief and support from the town by relief from permit cost, tax incentives to have something there to meet a quota of 10%. And there's a lot of distressed properties could be recycled. The problem is nobody wants to spend the time and money to do that when they can do a big project at once and get it all done. So those are my personal comments. Those are coming to me as a member of the planning board. Those are coming to me as a professional architect, okay? Because construction technology, and it's developing daily, can really deliver affordable housing without all of this other baloney. I'm sorry, that's my opinion.
Thank you, Hartley, I say.
Yeah, I've noticed several people here tonight saying that this tends to be a wet area. And the woman in the Racket Club shirt mentioned the problems with, potential problems with sewage. And I was just wondering, has anyone taken any readings or done any research as to the groundwater situation in that area?
Yes.
So, I mean, we as a planning board, like, this is only, we have a citizen petition
Okay.
in front of us.
Right.
And to my understanding, it's based off of a concept from the
Okay.
Affordable Housing Trust. So we don't have formal plans in front of us.
All
as
right,
a
I
planning
understand.
board.
Okay, I just, all this talk about water and stuff
Right.
flowing in.
As was addressed earlier by Adam, there are other regulatory boards that have
Okay.
jurisdictions that we don't have.
So I don't want to go totally off the rails here, but I see Tammy's hand and I see Kim's hand as well. So,
So
My
I
apologies.
want something clarified. On these properties, somebody went to each of these properties and looked at them and did the surveying around it, and they find them to be completely fine to build on. Is that what it said in there?
No.
that's not the impression I've gotten.
You need to read the bottom right of what it says there, because it actually says
Because-
to the contrary of that.
Oh, okay, because on the, coming off of Indian Springs, which is on top of Bayberry Hill, that whole thing, that is one unit of water that flows down. In my particular property, which abuts both properties, because I'm on the backside abutting what 52 is on this side and the other one's on this side. I have groundwater that shoots in the spring right out of the ground and flows right down to West Elm Street. I also have on the side of my property, off of Lunenburg Road, no, West Elm Street side, there is, right by the rock wall, it's almost like a pond, about this big. And it goes right down, it's just water, it's like a well, it's like a well. And I'm positive that other parts of these properties have the same exact thing.
On this, there are old wells, or at least there were old wells. I don't know if they're still there. Do you guys want to?
So just, I don't want to get, we could easily have a long discussion about every individual property and such, but Kim had her hand up next. I want to keep them as general as we can and.
My dad's not here to tell you the whole story, but there is a story of a well in that area. That is for everybody's water taking. I think it's actually on my property, but he can tell you that whole story, but the spring does run all the way down, and then everyone that lives in that area, even in the winter, you've probably responded there. The tree in my front yard gets hit every winter from the ice, and the one across from my brother gets hit every winter because of the ice. It runs pretty much year round coming down there, right where they're proposing that driveway, right down past Maddie's house.
Well, I saw a hand from Cindy. King online, Cindy King too, I believe, oh no,
Yes.
that's one, I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I am trying to unmute and all this other stuff. Excuse me. Thank you for calling on me. I just want to, God, I had it all in my head. I'm against this petition, the citizens petition. For one reason, I have to, I'm thankful for Adam speaking about the concerns about this being spot zoning, which as soon as I saw the petition, that's exactly what it seemed like to me. And I think clearly, based on the conversation that almost everyone has had since we started this public hearing tonight, is that, I think we're getting a little way away from the fact that this is a citizen's petition regarding zoning or changing the zoning on a particular lot. And without regard to what's going on that lot. And clearly by the conversation and even the purpose of someone getting this citizen's petition going is to restrict something that is perceived that the Townsend Affordable Housing Trust is doing. And it is NIMBY that we don't want this here. And that, I mean, I'm kind of overwhelmed by this, and there's almost all the conversation keeps finding ourselves into the jurisdiction of the CONSCOM, which, whether it's wet or not, is not part of zoning. That's part of, conservation. And I've been following a lot of board meetings, but I follow the Townsend Affordable Housing Trust. And I know that a lot of what they've been doing is very preliminary. They did do a concept which they're looking at. If this is not the plan, like it's not shovel ready where they're gonna go in there and they're gonna get a developer to start digging and building these homes that are on this concept. I think some of the things that they've talked about sound really cute and they sound like a really great plan, but it's way early. And even, Kieran talked about, well, we don't have any money right now, which is, okay, that's good. That delays everything for those that might be concerned. But part of the plan or the procedures for moving forward with this is that the Townsend Affordable Housing Trust has to have their own public hearing to get community input on what can be done up here on this property, which they haven't gotten to yet. And I'm concerned about it because based on how we're all reacting to a citizen's petition for zoning change, which isn't really the plan that the Housing Trust is doing. We're fighting over the Housing Trust plan that they don't even have, that this is strictly they're in discussion. They haven't gotten there yet. They want to do some RFPs, but a lot of that is still part of the discussion with, hey, we got this great idea. Is this even doable? They haven't gotten to the stage where any plans would need to be reviewed by people like the Conservation Commission and water. The water department, I don't know if you're aware of it, but they've got I forgot what you call it, where they're going to be putting a water tower on that property as well, because they want to put, that's already been delineated in its plan, that because they want to provide water to go up Lunenburg Road on town water. So this property has been designated as a spot to be able to put that in. So that is coming into the neighborhood, and there isn't a public hearing about that. And that's a good thing for the town. But if there are all these concerns with the property, whether it be lady slippers or ledge or water or whatever, then those issues are well on the road. Those will be reviewed. The Townsend Affordable Housing Trust isn't past that. They're not in a plan where we don't care about that and we're just going to start building. We've got these fake plans or something. There's nothing nefarious here about the place where the trust is on trying to figure out what they want to do with this. I know they've worked on a lot of properties and trying to figure out their best options. And right now they're on this one. A lot of the other properties don't have any potential for things like town water. And it makes it impossible to develop any at all right now, particularly where the place where Townsend is. So I think we're very premature with trying to do a knee-jerk reaction and have this type of citizens petition to just block everything because you don't even know what you're blocking yet. And I think that causes harm to the future of Townsend when something may be able to be done, 50 or 100 years from now. And we got to go back in history and say, well, what happened in 2025? And I think we're restricting, we're restricting, I don't know if somebody's talking over me, but, we're restricting the opportunity that we have as a town to do anything with this property that might actually be beneficial. So I think that we're just premature in this type of an action. And I think Adam's correct. I think Adam's absolutely right. I think he's really talking softly on it, but I think that it is, to me, right away, spot zoning. We're just going after, not because of what the types of things we don't want in this property, but tonight, everybody's talked about what the Affordable Housing Trust is doing. This is absolutely clearly to prevent what the trust is doing, not what you want on the property, but it's a reaction to what the trust is doing. And I have to say that we shouldn't be doing this. And I think that not passing this petition article will not cause the bulldozers to start coming down West Elm Street. It's just not going to happen. So I think that I asked the town to hold off on this type of an article and wait and see, and give the trust an opportunity to have their own public hearing so that we can discuss these issues, and even calling in, whatever steps. I don't know how you develop anything around here. I don't know how to get permits and things, but whatever the process is, at some point, there is a Conservation Commission issue. And maybe, there's a way for them to get ahead of that. And if those things are true, then the trust would be in a better shape to find that out sooner than later, rather than deal with it just as this type of a petition. That if it's not buildable, then I'm sure they would like to know that sooner than later. All right, I'll stop now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Cindy. Sandra.
Thank you. I understand what the other city community is saying. However, this is my take on it. Sometimes it's hard to stop a ball from rolling downhill. Things keep snowballing. I support this petition fully, and I understand what everyone here is trying to say. Let's nip this in the bud before we get more and more expense in looking at this. We know what the property's like. All the neighbors know what it's like. And to keep going on, there's gonna be more town expense. You see what I'm saying? So let's stop it before it goes too far.
Thanks, Sandra. Robert, before we get to you, I want to see if we can wrap up public comment and then get to a point where we as a board make a decision.
I just have one statement.
Okay.
All right. What did we learn from this tonight? I think we know the Housing Authority and the Housing Trust has a duty and a task to the town. We recognize their effort to do something to help that. What we did observe is that this scope of project is so ambitious. And so we have to work with the Housing Authority so they can do what their purview is. But if we observe what's going on, if these projects that the Housing Authority wants to entertain, instead of having such a big scope, if they were a much smaller scope and they were more diversified in town, then the magnitude of concern would be far less. And so I think we all learn a lesson from this tonight. The Housing Authority probably should look at not doing as many units at a time and doing smaller units in different areas of town. And I think it would be more palatable for everybody to understand and support. So
Robert, I appreciate that. I think those comments fit in my mind, particularly when we're going to discuss if we're going to support or oppose the citizens petition. So I just want to, I love spending my Mondays with you guys, and I would love to spend here longer. But do we have any other?
I know this is only one part of the discussion, and maybe this is future discussion for other boards and other But as far as the town properties, once they get developed in general, each property only allows us to be in a safe harbor. Am I correct? I'm sorry, can I direct the attorney about, that makes us go into a safe harbor for a couple of years, right? In order to get to the affordable level that we need for 10%, the town's is at 4 right now, around 4. So say one project takes 2 years, then we go through the next 4 or 5 properties. So how many of them are gonna be, what is our limit gonna be reached? And what if we don't reach the limit and we still have to go, what do we do then? Attorney General, not Attorney General, Governor Healy said that we can use state land. So, I mean, this is projecting, but once we go through all the town property, do we, where do we go from here? This is just a small scope, but where do we go from here?
So I'm happy to have Adam's comment. I don't, running the planning board right now, I think the engaging in hypotheticals can get far too,
Bogged down.
extreme and outrageous, but if you have any initial comments, Adam.
I mean, I'll comment on courtesy briefly. Once the 10% standard is satisfied, it's satisfied until the next census, which of course occurs every 10 years.
Right.
There's a bit of a trick to how those numbers are calculated, because over the 10-year period, the Commonwealth doesn't calculate the baseline growth. It adds affordable units consistently to the inventory, but then every 10 years, the denominator changes and suddenly you drop below where you thought you might have been. You're a long ways from 10%. So I don't think that's even really a realistic concern for Townsend unless you had a 500 unit, 100% affordable project that you were considering building tomorrow, which could put you immediately over your 10%. And provide you with that safe harbor. There are other shorter term safe harbors, 1 year, 2 year safe harbors. If you create a certain amount of affordable housing within 1 calendar year, you can get a short term reprieve from 40B developments. The real objective in satisfying your 10% standard or qualifying for safe harbor is to be able to fend off unfriendly projects. So to Robert's point before, pursuing multiple smaller projects versus pursuing one larger project, I understand that may be more palatable in some sense because you don't see these gigantic projects on sites that maybe you think shouldn't have that number of units. The downside is that it takes quite a bit of time to develop a number of smaller projects. And in the meantime, you are susceptible to any unfriendly developer coming in, choosing a parcel that's far worse than any parcel that the town owns or the Affordable Housing Trust owns and saying, I'm gonna put 50 units or 100 units or 300 units on there. And you can't do anything about it because I'm gonna do it under Chapter 40B. That's sort of the driving force between some municipalities opting for this larger is better approach. They're two sides of the same coin, and it's just a question of preferences as to which direction you go in. But unfortunately, you're a long ways from your 10% standard, and so in the meantime, you're just subject to the Chapter 40B law, like most municipalities in Massachusetts are.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, do we have any more public comment on the floor in here? Unless,
Can I ask a question?
sure.
With this petition to zone these parcels, does it change any of the tax liability from the zoning side for the town? Because it generates $0 in tax revenue right now, whereas an apartment building would generate $150,000 a year. In an optimistic world. Sure. I think that's an important part of people to recognize. As someone who does this in the town I reside in, tax revenue is the lifeblood of our community.
Thank you, Karen. I saw Chris's hand first.
I'm new to this, guys. This is the first meeting I've been here, and I've just been listening, trying not to say anything. But everyone has concerns. My concern is completely different than theirs. I'm looking to the future of if they do these projects. Like you said, they were putting in 50 units or something or other that they were proposing.
75 bedrooms.
75 bedrooms, okay. That's 75 more people in town, we'll say, ×2 for kids and everything. We're a town with no money now. If we do these projects, the money we lose by not doing them, is that gonna make up for, the more firemen we need, the more
Oh, the
policemen we need?
infrastructure, is it gonna cost the infrastructure?
The infrastructure,
Yeah,
everything,
We'll let him have his moment.
everything,
We'll get it
that
up
this
there.
is gonna cost the town. You weigh the pros and cons, financially for me, I look at it as going, all right, we're gonna lose. I don't even know what the number is. I'm gonna make up a number, because like you said, I'm new to this. $6 million, whatever the grant money that we lose. Is it gonna cost us 5 million in school costs? All the other costs that we have to occur to do these projects? I don't know, and I don't mean to be, going off on a tangent, man. I'm just curious, because I don't know. I just want you guys to consider that as part of planning, because it does involve everybody, whether it goes through or not.
Thank you, Chris. Yeah, Sandra, again.
Thank you. That was one of my concerns with the MBTA, was the cost of more students in the school, where we want to close down Ashby potentially. Okay, where do we go from here? We cut staff already, we have high ratios in the school, the infrastructure. The state does not seem to address our concerns. They just want to smush all this housing in. I heard that the state knows all the environmental concerns of all the towns and stuff. No, they don't. They do not. How can they? They don't live here in our communities. The governor does not live in our community. She does not know the state, the fact about the
Sandra, I don't
school,
wanna
it
cut
took
you
so
off.
long to get
I
our
don't-
funding.
I don't disagree that the state doesn't know much in
Okay.
general. I'm
I'm
not
sorry.
sure how relevant, how that applies right now to this petition that you guys have put together.
Well, the fact that it's gonna stretch everything, all these housing projects, the infrastructure, the environment is gonna be impacted. And I think Lois was gonna say something about the oxygen. Trees, you cut down all the trees, your air quality is going down.
Sure. Okay, all right. Thank you. Do we have any more comments?
I have one, just
Sure.
reiterating the lack of the frontage, the lack of acreage, and the reverse, zone, what did you call it? I'm sorry.
Reverse spot.
The reverse spot, like, wouldn't we want the answers to that from the zoning board before anyone continues the lack of the wetlands? Like, I think that they said at the beginning that they did delineate the wetlands, but when, and does that have to happen again? Putting all this effort into this lot of land, which might not meet the needs unless the zoning board makes a decision, correct?
Planning board?
I mean, the planning board, sorry.
So,
So that's, I guess, why I'm just still like, all right, I'm hearing all of the arguments. We're
So-
still left with some of those questions. Where does that leave us?
I think, so my reaction, just as a member of the planning board, is everything we've heard tonight, I think is very valid concerns from the neighbors, from everybody in general, how it affects the town and whatnot. I think, to my knowledge, as Kieran said, this is just a concept that's been presented. I don't believe, I mean, sure, it sounds like, I'm not a member of the Affordable Housing Trust, and I haven't necessarily read or watched all these meetings, but we as the planning board and our statutory authority to review plans and approve something like this, we just don't have any hard plans on this, nor to my knowledge has it been reviewed by the Board of Health for septic or soils or the Conservation Commission at all. And I think, as Kieran said, it's the Affordable Housing Trust hasn't even, this seems to me to be the first moment of public comment, significant public comment on this matter in general, which I think really should be at the Affordable Housing Trust while they're considering, this in, further and such. That's just my reaction as a member.
I tend to agree, the housing authority or the housing trust should have had the initial public meeting on this.
They did.
They did?
Oh, but they would continue to, they're not, it doesn't.
There's
sounds like
no
they're not-
money to pay for the study.
Sure.
So once there's funding, then it will be public forum and interact, it'll be like, come all out. We did this in Dunstable. Everyone come and give us your feedback. And then they retooled the project, did it again, presented it again, and then allowed the different boards to vote on it and roll it through the process. And it's been 3 years since we did that, and there's still not a shovel on the ground at the post office on 113. I have to give you food for thought in terms of how long it takes and the process. Takes forever.
I think because, I want to segue into us as, I believe we've had pretty substantial public comment. Sandra, I see your hand again.
about funding.
Is it, okay,
Okay, I don't think we've talked that much about funding other than there's no money, $0. Once they do the forest, I don't know if I get the right term, forest station on Wallace Hill, Haynes Road, there will be the money from there. So it's gonna go quicker than people think.
but sure, I don't wanna get into semantics, but I think that would still be part of the public process to which the Affordable Housing Trust would, you know, if they, however Kieran expressed that they're gonna go through it, they're gonna have some funding, gonna put out a study, gonna invite all the public for feedback before they have, you know, something more than just a concept drawing. I think it's time for us to make a decision whether we support, oppose, or have no comment for the public, for the town meeting coming up Thursday. But I would struggle to say that we should prevent this process from happening by preventing any zoning like this on that parcel. So, I mean, that's just how I'm thinking about it
Right,
right
say
now.
that again, please.
Okay, I'm not following you.
Well, I would think this will be the decision of the town meeting.
Right.
Right, so
Right,
our job as the planning board is to comment, you know, do we
And
support?
make a recommendation or not.
Yes, and I think all of the concerns brought up here are incredibly valid.
mhm,
But I would think that if us saying, yes, let's prohibit this, and I understand the, you know, more of the residents and the neighbors approach, let's nip it in the butt now.
Mhm.
But I would struggle to say as a member of the planning board representing the town that we shouldn't let it go through the other processes. You know, as a neighbor, I could say, yeah, get rid of it, stop it now. But I would think as a town official, I would want it to go through the other formal processes to get evaluated by the other departments, to think and to have a serious proposal in front of us as a planning board. That's how I'm feeling, that's how I'm reacting at it right now. But I want to see what you guys think, and then I want to make a decision and vote, and then it'll be up at town meeting for the public.
Okay.
So, what thoughts, reactions, how are you guys feeling?
okay, I mean, I do agree there's a lot of issues with this parcel. So as a resident, I have one thing, but as a planning board member, I agree with you that I would like to see the process go all the way through. And see it go through the Conservation Commission, go through the Board of Health, because if you have a lot of these issues with the water, I don't see a septic system going in for this many units.
Right, so we're trying to nip it in the bud, save everybody time, energy, and money by saying, look, these are the problems with the property. Can we stop this now when we select another one? So that what we submit is valid. And
I understand that. I understand that. And as a resident, I agree with you, but if I put on my planning board hat, I probably would go and vote not recommending it only because I feel it needs to go through the complete process. Or I'm fine with no comment from the planning board either and just be neutral. And I'm fine with being neutral because part of me is one way and part of me is the other way, and it would be hard for me to say I support it or don't support it. I'm kind of like
a politician on the fence.
yeah, I'm a politician.
Sorry.
But no,
You
that's
guys
not.
gotta give me duct tape for the
But
next.
no,
meeting.
I do, because as a resident, I feel all your concerns, and from what I understand, the state's now saying we can build on wildlife refuge lands, which I'm totally, as a citizen, opposed to, but, so that's my 2 cents.
Okay, my quandary is, I don't want to devastate the efforts that have been put here to find ways to achieve affordable housing and want to support our housing trust. And then the other part of this is the concern about the spot zoning, which I think is a serious question that needs to be resolved. So I think I feel that I would have to support proceeding with this and let
You say this, Robert, you mean the petition that.
as far as a member of the board, and the board's recommendation, I think we should put our comments of our concerns and still support the housing authority in pursuing more housing and let this specific concept play out, because I feel pretty confident it's a very challenging project for them to actually achieve. And that's why my position on it, but we should not deny them the opportunity to go forward and let the town meeting prevail. Let the regulatory agents put their review and comments on it. And if that all can be remedied, well, then the project might turn to reality. But I think they have a lot of challenges on this specific concept. And that's my recommendation to the board.
Hartley?
Well, I'm certainly in favor of more affordable housing. And we have a problem with that in the town, and we have a problem with that in the country. But I have, I've heard the comments here tonight about the question of exactly, is this the best place environmentally for this kind of project at this time? And I heard the concerns about things like the water situation, the sewage situation. And my overall thought here is I would like to see more studies done on this, more research done on particularly the environmental aspect of it. Because if it turns out that this is or could be a favorable place to build housing, then we can always go ahead with it in the future. But if there is any kind of question as to how this will affect the buildings themselves once they're built, or the surrounding neighborhood, in terms of where the water is going to go, where the sewage is going to go, that's awfully hard to correct something once it's literally in place. So I guess overall, I'd have to say I would approve this, recommend an approval of this article for now, for this town meeting. But I would certainly favor looking into it in the future. And I don't want the town to turn its back on all possibilities of affordable housing. We definitely need more of it. The question is where we're going to put it. The question is, what effect will it have once we build it, whether it be positive or negative in terms of the environment and other issues. Traffic, that's another issue, but it certainly should be considered. So I would, for right now anyway, for this year, for this particular town meeting, I would support a recommendation.
Okay, so I think what I heard from the board is that we feel like we would like to not have the zoning limited by as the petition proposes, and allow more of the town process to go through, have the Affordable Housing Trust have their day in court per se, have it be truly evaluated by the respective boards and such. That's what I've gathered. I've heard different language saying approve or just specific to the way this is worded. That's what I've heard, is that, so I guess and in that spirit, I think a motion would be in opposition to the citizen petition, but because the citizen petition wants to restrict the zoning, prohibit the zoning for any sort of anything the Affordable Housing Trust is trying to do. But then we are tasked with putting together a planning board report for the town meeting. And I think in that we could identify or highlight the concerns that the residents in the community brought up in that report, in the spirit of just explaining our perspective.
My understanding is the town has already voted to have this area under the Affordable Housing Trust jurisdiction. So previously, at town meeting, that was done. They have taken that role on.
So, Robert,
Is that,
No one ever told us that. It's gonna be multifamily.
well, we have the.
Big buildings, all we were told to vote on,
So,
so give it.
here, we gotta get back, we're gonna try to get back on track. So we as a, this is our task as the planning board to make a decision on if we support the citizen petition or we oppose the citizen petition. I'll make a motion that we as a planning board oppose the citizen's petition and in our report to town meeting, highlight the concerns that we have that the residents brought to us.
I support that.
I would support that as well.
Okay, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Need a second on the motion.
Oh, we need a second on the motion.
I second the motion.
Harley seconds the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the ayes have it. So with that, I'm gonna close the public hearing at 8:15. And I wanna thank you all for coming and sharing your concerns. And when we get to the town meeting this Thursday, that's when the town will decide on your efforts. But thank you very much. We very much appreciate it.
High school.
I think it's a high school.
High school.
Thank you very much.
It will get voted on at town meeting. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, they have a lot of
Thank you.
I think you're gonna have a lot of hearings ahead.
Lot of what?
A lot of hearings ahead.
Sounds that way. See you Thursday.
Sure, that's reasonable.
I'll make a, you want me to make a motion?
Please make a motion.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing at
Good luck.
8:16 PM.
Motion's been made.
Second,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Public hearing.
thanks for coming.
Thanks for
Thanks.
So at that meeting,
Thank
you
you.
get to vote on it.
So,
We don't.
no, hold, everyone who's there for the town meeting.
Oh, everyone at the town meeting gets a vote.
Okay, I thought, okay.
Yeah, so we as the planning board will say, we had a public hearing, we heard the residents' concerns.
I understand.
We are technically opposed to the efforts that have been proposed, but we are concerned about X, Y, and Z.
I just,
And then it'll be up to the public.
We have to make a recommendation at the town
Okay.
meeting. That's what we just voted
I
on.
just have one quick off the record question.
We're still in a public meeting,
Okay,
but
so
you could
quick
ask her
question.
on the record question.
Thank you.
I think.
These buildings, so there are 10 buildings with 2 units in each building,
We
right?
don't know.
We
Are
don't
they
know.
going to be, are they rentals or are they owner occupied?
We
We
have
don't
not.
know that either.
No,
So
we
no
have,
one has
We
put
know
in a
that there are
bid to
different
build.
bedroom
Yeah.
groups.
no,
To my knowledge, just all.
So
Three
they could
bedrooms,
just all
two
be owned by
bedrooms,
one
one bedroom.
landlord collecting rent month after month, or they could
Just to
be
see the water
purchased.
that comes
We
in
don't
my
know.
yard.
We don't
You
know.
know, living up the hill. it's
They-
quite
I mean,
nice.
Goodness, you. Sorry.
My question is, are they owned or?
Thank you, guys. So we gotta get back on
All
track.
right, bye, you guys, thank you.
Thanks, Beth. Thank you, Adam.
Chair Shepherd, just one thing, in the planning board report, I have you voting either unanimously in recommendation of the article or not recommendation, not recommending the article. So I'm wondering if you could re-vote when you get a chance and just sort of change the verbiage a little bit. Because what I want to put in the report is the planning board voted unanimously to not recommend adoption of that article at town meeting. So it's very clear to the voters that you're not in opposition, you don't want to use the word opposition. You want to be very clear in your report.
okay.
I was reading the public hearing guidelines when I said that. Which is just I got you. All right, so we need to reframe, because that's the intent of what you just described is the exact same thing that we voted on and said ourselves. So we need to,
So,
Beth, say it again, say so moved, second vote.
Beth, will you just reframe it? Will you say it to us how you'd like it?
Oh, are you talking to me? Sorry, it's really quiet. You're not coming through very low.
Here.
Basically you want to vote to not recommend adoption of article number 6 as printed in the warrant, and the associated proposed zoning amendment for the following reasons, and then we can go into reasons, but just some sort of vote that you're not recommending the article. Not that you're opposing the article, that you're just not recommending it. You know what I mean?
You need our reasons in the motion?
No, because you can work on the, report after, and then we'll just,
So,
Okay,
so per.
We're rejecting the petition.
You can't reject it. You can make a recommendation to town meeting, and that will be either one of two things. Either you recommend the article, or you do not recommend the article. That's all you can do. And from there, you present your reasoning.
So let's be
Is
clear.
town council still there?
now we left. So, all right, I'll make a motion. We'll make a motion to not support Article 6.
No, recommend. The word is recommend.
We do not recommend Article 6.
Got it.
Protect Townsend from high-density housing in sensitive areas. No?
Any second? Is that okay, Beth, or do you?
I wouldn't put in the extra wording about protecting
All right,
housing in sensitive areas. You're, you're just not recommending Article 6 as proposed in the special town meeting warrant for September 25th. You're not recommending it. You get a motion and a second, that's all.
so moved.
So Carol.
Thank you. All right.
Forgive me, I'm a little confused.
I am too.
So,
Yeah.
I'm gonna take a step back. So when we voted, the way I framed it was I said in opposition. I think I used the words in support or opposition. And what Beth is saying is that, and I don't think she's wrong, it's just that's how my brain is working, is that we don't wanna say that we're opposed or support. We wanna say, what's the right word at the end of
We
that?
don't recommend.
We
We
don't
don't
recommend, or we do recommend.
Right, that's,
So,
So,
recommending is okay with me, rather than supporting or not supporting.
so we are not recommending Article 6 as
Stated.
stated in the warrant article.
so
That's right.
Carol has made that motion.
I second it.
Second, I guess we're at discussion. Hartley, do you have a question?
No, forgive me, maybe I'm not thinking straight, but I
Sure.
thought that collectively we had reached the idea that, that we would actually be supporting Article 6 because we were not totally sure about going ahead with the housing project.
The difference is the way the Article 6 is written, we're actually opposing.
So
Okay.
the way, yeah, so what Robert is saying is Article 6, the citizen petition says we want to prohibit any zoning, any multifamily zoning in these lots.
Mhm.
And what I recall that we were in agreement on was that we don't want to support the prohibition of any type of housing on that lot,
Right.
multifamily housing. We want it to go through the processes,
Okay.
the town processes
Okay.
with the Board of Health.
I understand.
So the way it's written is
Right,
what we're
okay,
opposing.
so if
Right.
we do not recommend Article 6, that doesn't mean we're giving a go-ahead to
No.
building on that.
No,
No.
so
No.
Okay.
we as the planning board, we have no credible proposals in front of us at
Okay.
all.
All right.
on this property.
If it ever gets that far, our purview is only to review what's
Okay.
submitted as
Okay,
real work to be
okay,
done.
because what I said earlier, I want to stand by that, I haven't changed, I do have some
Yeah.
questions about whether we should build there, but the way you're phrasing it and the way we've boiled it down, okay,
Okay.
I'm with
So we
that.
got a motion on the floor, we've had discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, the ayes have it, the motion passes.
Okay.
So now, I guess, getting to
Right.
item 3.2, which would be discuss and finalize the planning board's reports prepared for the MBTA communities and for this. Partly, this is where I think we say, we don't recommend it. And then maybe a short line that says, we've heard our residents' concern at a public hearing.
Okay.
We want it to continue through regular town processes. We
Okay.
believe they have some valid concerns.
Okay, great.
Something something to that effect.
Okay.
Beth, do we have, I don't know if I had a chance to review it, do we have a draft report?
Yes, we do. I think Kieran printed out copies for you. Did he?
Yes, they are floating around on the table.
There are
Say
two
again.
of them. Yep. The first one is for Article 6. If you want to do that one, it might be fresh in your mind.
Sure.
Item 6. I got a couple more if you need it.
I probably have.
Fresh one.
All right, you have it online?
Yeah. I don't know. Okay.
Here's another one if you want to take that.
So from the town planning board. So as you can see on the first page, like third paragraph from the bottom, it will say the planning board voted unanimously to not recommend the adoption of the proposed amendments for the following reasons. If the board decides to not recommend, Beth has given us these for consideration. The one, the comment from the town zoning enforcement officer, which states, I see no reason that these two lot parcels should be singled out as not to allow multifamily. The table of uses allows multifamily within the residential RA and RB districts with a special permit from the ZBA and should not be accepted. Robert Garside, Townsend zoning enforcement. And then two, inconsistency with the Townsend's affordable housing goals and plans, the parcel in question, map 10, parcel 52 and parcel 70 are under the care and custody of the and control of the Townsend Affordable Housing Trust, which specifically transferred these town properties in May 2022 via a vote and desired by residents to and for the purpose of developing or selling them to support affordable housing. Prohibiting multifamily apartment buildings on them would directly undermine the trust 2023 through 2028 action plan, which prioritizes evaluating these parcels for affordable housing development, including issuing RFPs for developers in fiscal year 2025. The plan emphasizes creating affordable units to address Townsend zero. Oh, wow, Beth, these are, oh, okay. Percent rental vacancy rate, severe cost burdens on renters and need for smaller accessible units for seniors and low incomes. 3, inconsistency with the 2022 to 2026 housing production plan. The proposed amendment to prohibit apartment multifamily buildings on assessor's map 10, parcel 52. Have you guys may be able to read quicker than I can?
Yeah, I'm just skimming.
Okay. I would suggest just skimming rather than maybe.
Okay, so we don't have to do the recommend section, so.
Well, we just have to decide what we want. Yeah, the not recommend, or the you're right, the recommend. So we said we don't have to do the last page.
Yeah.
What do we have for comments? I'm okay. I feel like I'm okay with the first one. With the comment from Bob Garside.
I agree.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm okay with the fourth one, which is the concern that this would single out that lot.
Yeah.
And prohibit it, and it could be challenged if someone did wish to develop it.
I agree.
I agree.
The 2 and 3, I think are okay. I don't know. I don't really care one way or another on 2 and 3.
I'm not really loving 3.
Okay.
Certainly take those out if they're too wordy or, specific.
Yeah, I'd take out number 3.
3? Yeah, you got it. If everybody's okay with that.
Yep. I'm okay with that.
3 is gone.
Okay, I'll go with 6. I'm not sure about 5. What do we think about number 5?
What, lack of alignment?
With the master plan, comprehensive plan. I'm not.
But right now, I think we've fully, as a group, said we're okay with 1 and we're okay with 4. We've asked 3, and that kind of leaves 5, 6, and 2. I don't, this is just me, I don't find the references to the, like, the plan, like our master plan or our housing production plan or.
I guess I don't find that anybody's that interested in references to plans. I don't know.
Sure.
I mean, I know me personally, if I'm at town meeting, I could care less about
Sure.
what's in the, if I'm voting on something, what's in the plan.
Sure.
But that's just me, so.
Robert or Hartley, comments on either of those?
I don't, I really,
No comments? I would be okay, I just find that sometimes we get so much material.
yeah, it's
I think-
true.
I think, yeah, the shorter the better.
Yeah, I think
so
Make it more
you-
concise, okay.
I would too.
so I'd probably cut 5,
Yeah,
cut 2,
yeah,
Want to keep 6.
you wanna keep 6?
What's number 6 again? Because I lost my numbering.
Okay, approving such a petition could set a precedent for ad hoc zoning changes undermining the planning board's ability to guide orderly development and potentially complicating future housing initiatives.
Okay, so you want to keep that, and you keep that one, or,
Yeah,
okay,
I think, I don't know.
it's all right.
It's all right.
Yeah,
It's
it's all
short.
right,
It's
yeah.
a tiny
This
sentence.
is another point.
rewrite it if you want.
We're keeping the spot zoning one, Beth. And then we're also keeping the, Robert Garside's comments. I would
Okay.
like to have, put in one more, which I think was the intent that we expressed in our meeting,
Yeah,
that says, something to the effect that, while we hear the concerns of the residents in this petition, we believe that the proper format for
has to follow.
addressing these concerns are through the established
Procedures.
Regulatory
processes.
agencies.
procedures and regulatory agencies.
Yes, that's fine. I like that too.
Okay.
Hmm.
Beth, are you okay with, do you need me to send you like a draft of that, or do you think you could word something up on that with that sentiment?
I got what you said, which is really good. Well, we, the planning board, hear the concerns of the residents of this petition. The proper format, maybe the proper agency for addressing these concerns is through the proper regulatory agencies or something like that.
What we're trying to say is we don't want to obstruct the process of the housing authority. And let it play its course with all the regulatory agencies that would be involved.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let it play out.
Yeah,
see what
we
happens.
want the process to go through the process.
Okay,
Your town-
great. Mhm.
town boards, committees, and departments to review as such we do for all.
I don't think we have to identify specific ones. All
Nope.
regular-
They are boards, committees, and then your building.
But they're all regulatory agencies.
Yeah, okay. Regulatory department and agencies, oversight. Do you want to keep the inconsistency with Townsend affordable housing goals or no?
I think we're okay with getting rid of that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, get rid of that.
I think the specific references to the master plan, the housing production plan, and the affordable housing goals and plans, we felt were too much.
Yeah.
So nothing on the master plan either? Okay.
Yeah.
We don't even have to address that, I don't think.
No.
We got that out. Okay. Cool. I think
Would it be worth, Beth, would you want a motion to approve this as it is written? Or,
As edited.
yeah, or as edited, or
Revised, yeah.
Revised.
are you comfortable? I guess what I'm the other, I guess what I'm trying to say is, would it be worth you sharing, I don't know if you're live editing it, and would it be worth you sharing a screen and then we saying we approve? Or do you feel comfortable?
I am, I'm actually live editing it right now. And, if you want, I can put it on the screen if you want.
I guess, what do you need from us?
Do you want
Or I
us to
could-
approve?
Could just read it back too.
I would
I mean-
say, if you don't mind screen sharing it, I'd love to be able to see it the way my brain works, and then we can
Yeah.
just read through.
Yeah, let me just circulate it tomorrow, because we have, it has to go to print on Wednesday. So tomorrow's
Yeah.
fine. I'll just circulate it. I'll email it out tonight. Is that correct?
Okay.
All right. So you don't need to really vote on the report, to your question. I apologize. But yeah, you've done your vote. This report is just a reflection of your vote and your reasoning. And so if you're satisfied,
Okay.
So we're good
Okay.
with Article 6, and now
excuse me.
Article 3, I believe.
Article 3, okay.
So that is this one.
Oh, what's this?
This was the MBTA.
Oh, the one that the town meeting really for.
Correct.
Oh, this is the accessory use one?
Not really.
No, 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 MBTA.
The whole town meeting is about.
Yeah,
This is the warrant article for the town meeting.
we're gonna name it the Robert Therian MBTA overlay.
No, it's
Okay, so, and this subject, this seems that this is the legalese of what we're doing. Let's see,
Okay.
Article 2 and 3, okay, good. So let's go to the bottom of the second page. So it's more legalese in accordance with X bylaws. The planning board voted unanimously to recommend adoption of the proposed zoning amendments as written in the September 25th, 2025 special town meeting as Articles 2 and 3 for the following reasons. So, okay, we've got 6 total reasons. The first one, so first one is that it aligns with state mandates, community needs, and sound planning principles. I don't have an issue. What do you think, Robert? You have?
I don't think it's got sound planning principles at all.
I think we protect in sound planning principles to put it forward, but I mean, this is where we can make changes or edits if you want to make any changes in that regard. I'm okay with number 1, I think.
Yeah, I guess so.
But
Yeah, okay.
we don't have to agree on everything either. If we
I don't agree on that
Okay,
part
what
of
would
it.
you think, Robert? What would you propose?
I'm trying to think of what I would say, but I can't.
Would you just, if we say something,
Well, first of all, I'm a member of
Well,
Planners,
you could put,
Mass Planners Association.
you could put a
And
period
it
on this.
doesn't come up with that. Those-
Okay, so you could put a period after state mandates, because that's what basically.
Yeah, you could do that. But it was pretty sound planning principles too. So just take
Okay.
out community needs. Would that make you feel better?
I mean, me as a resident, I feel like I'm being held hostage
I
by
am
the
too.
state.
I feel
That
exactly.
Right.
I don't even know why we're voting on it, because if we vote no, we lose all our money, which is our tax dollars,
This
which
is
we
the
pay
same
to the
kind of
state.
situation as the
And-
last one.
And Adam said they could sue us. So why are we even voting? I mean, it's like a state mandate. Why don't they just say thou shalt do
I
it?
mean, my
you got no choice?
recommendation on this is based upon, it's required by statute, pretty much.
So
That's right. Yeah.
Let's focus on these last 3 commas right here, right?
So I would just put a period after, they like the state mandates, period.
I do agree with Beth, or at least the intent, I think that it was written, that I think we engaged in sound planning
Okay,
in the 2 to 3 years, but
I mean,
I'm okay with not having that language or that. But I do think there is a community need for more.
Well,
housing.
I
would
think
be
Oh,
okay with-
this
Okay.
board did a diligent job with trying to,
I think that's that's what that means.
okay.
Yeah.
That's the way I see it.
All
Fine.
right, and
That's the intent.
If that's the intent, I'm fine with it. You can just leave it the way it is.
I think your concerns are reflective of concerns we'll get on Thursday. So I would think if we strike, sound planning and we just go with state mandates.
It's gonna go down in a ball of flames.
It's fine.
Yeah, I don't wanna say more than
Okay,
that.
so Beth, let's,
Yeah, I mean,
I'm serious.
Well, we'll see you later.
so, we're gonna say that we're gonna end it with, as they align with the state mandates and community needs, period.
Oh, you're not gonna put in sound planning principles, or you are?
Well, is that wellness part of this?
Yep, I think so.
That's gonna be part of our general bylaw or this specific one?
So that's gonna be part of when we do our.
General.
Special permit, when we make the changes to the special permit, especially the ones specific to the process that the
Right.
MBTA community districts would go through if it passed, that's to which it would be included.
I think,
But I do think that we as a board spending 2 to 3 years on this have done quite a bit of diligence.
if you ask
Exactly.
me, I'd stop
Exactly.
at state mandates, period.
Okay. Hartley, we haven't heard from you. What do you have for,
I'm in concurrence with my colleagues. I think we can do that to this.
I want the town to know,
Phraseology.
we're under the board, we have to do
I
that.
think we're saying that when we say the state mandate part. I
Right.
think that's pretty
Yeah.
clear.
That
there.
ends it right there, I
Yeah.
don't wanna say I support any of the others.
So let's, if you guys will, let's delete sound planning principles and we'll just say with state mandates and community needs, because I don't think the need is not there.
No, the need is there. I'll agree with that.
Okay, so we're good on one, right?
Yeah.
Excellent.
I'm actually good with the rest of
You're
it.
good with the rest of it?
Yeah.
I haven't had a chance to read it, so let's.
So I was reading it while you were discussing it.
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah, number two's fine.
Okay.
I don't care about the $100,000 one spot grant at all.
I
Is-
mean, nice.
Is that, so that's, is that too small of a figure? Or I guess I worry about listing a specific, no, on number 3, Beth.
It's a
Uh,
such as, yeah, it's one instance. So we can strike anything if you want about state grants, but,
Unless you take the dollars out.
Uh-huh.
Because didn't somebody say at some meeting that our grants totaled like $2 million or something?
I think Karen
Yeah.
did a lot of work putting together a spreadsheet that had over some period of time, could be millions of
Maybe.
dollars.
Maybe just take out the dollars in, because $1,000, people might just say, oh, well, that's
I
not
would
that.
worry in the spirit of this
Yeah.
law that someone would say, oh, I'd forego $100,000 to eliminate this.
Yeah, I would say we would lose our grant money.
So maybe,
okay.
so on that line, it says recommending this amendment secures access to state grants. And then I'd like to delete Beth.
It avoids penalties and all.
Yeah, so
Okay.
just that section between that first comma, which is the such as $100,000 community one stop, so we'll delete that. And then
Yep.
continue with, and avoid penalties like the loss of funding eligibility, which supports infrastructure and community development. So I think,
Yeah,
Okay.
I think.
I got it, yeah.
You know what, even reading this thing, I just not there.
Well,
in terms of the,
well, but we have
I
to,
mean, this is my official statement as to why the town shouldn't endorse it, and I don't agree with it.
okay,
Yeah,
Then you change it or you delete it. That's perfectly fine. This is just a suggested, document. You adjust it.
so the way I'm viewing this, Robert, is I think our job as, sworn town officials and under the sworn laws of Massachusetts, as we're following the process that, as the laws exist, to the best intent that we can, and then it'll be up to the town to vote.
I don't mind us recommending this to the town because it's a state mandate,
Sure,
period.
sure,
To expand on that is not where I am.
Mhm.
sure.
Okay, so you want to strike number 4 and 5 then?
I don't know if we're there just yet, so I think we're, are we be
Okay.
okay? I'm okay with number 3. I recognize where you're at, Robert. But I think we do need to highlight the enforcement portion of this effort from the state, which would be the
Okay.
loss of access to funding.
All right.
Well, the public should be aware of the implications of it. I agree.
Sure.
So another
So-
thought I had, if you don't like number 4, is to add in a comment about the fact that the work the planning board did on the bylaw and the overlay district did
Yeah, I-
get pre-adoption approval from Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities to tell the town that, yes, in fact, the planning process was vetted, if you will, and it's ready for voter approval, that they shouldn't have any worries about the process. So would you like me to put in a sentence about that? I mean, it was pre-approved.
We think all this is great, and it's not.
I don't think that's what we're saying.
Well,
I think this is pretty
expand
technical.
housing flexibility, that's fine. I don't mind that.
For number
Right.
4, where are you on?
I'm at the bottom of the page.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's amendment 2. We're still on amendment 1.
Let's go one by one, all
Don't
right?
confuse them.
So we'll look at it. So I think we're good with 3. I'm okay with,
Yeah.
let's go with 3 as it is. So
Well,
4,
we'll take it off the 100,000.
you're right. We're taking off that section in between the commas.
Gotcha.
So number 4, promoting orderly and predictable development. The multifamily overlay district provides a structured framework for multifamily development, ensuring it occurs in designated areas with clear dimensional standards and regulations. This aligns with the master plan emphasis on balanced growth and preserves Townsend's rural character while accommodating housing demand by allowing multifamily housing as of right. The amendment reduces administrative burden on developers and the planning board, streamlining approvals while maintaining oversight through the site plan review and other existing regulations. I'm okay. I feel like I'm okay with that as it is written.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm okay with
Hartley's a yes, Carol's a yes. Robert, I understand your general feelings. I don't know.
I wouldn't even put the word structured, I'd just put word framework in. It provides a framework, not that it's structured in my eyes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's very structured, actually, but yeah, that's what the planning board did, yeah. Okay, I can strike that if the board wants that stricken.
Yeah, we'll strike the word structured.
Okay.
on that first. Otherwise, I think we're okay with that, so let's move to number 5.
All right, number 4 is okay with that
Yeah.
structured,
Delete.
word deleted.
Yep.
Enhancing community resilience and economic benefits.
So expanding multifamily housing options supports a diverse population, including young families, seniors, and low-income housing, fostering a vibrant community. The multifamily overlay district can attract new residents and businesses, boosting the local tax base and supporting services like schools and public safety. As noted in the 2022-2026 housing production plan, the amendment facilitates access to state and federal funding, such as the low-income housing tax credits for affordable multifamily projects, aligning with the Affordable Housing Trust Action Plan to leverage town-owned parcels and partnerships. I think I would actually, I just feel like when we get to town meeting, this is just gonna be a contentious subject, no matter
Okay.
what.
Okay,
Do I
Yep.
take it
but we
out?
can do some edits on it.
I would
All right.
remove it.
Okay.
The
Just
entire
take-
number 5?
Yes, but
Take it out.
maybe,
Okay. Okay, it's all gone. Agree.
Fine with me.
okay, so we'll move 5. Now for number 6. So 6, I think, is one of the functions that we really liked about the multifamily overlay district,
Mhm.
which was to have single family by right, so we could encourage diversity of housing
That's right.
units.
Yeah,
we did a good job on that.
Exactly. So, assuming the First Amendment is approved, the planning board recommends the secondary amendment, which I have no issue with that. So
Yeah.
1, expanded housing flexibility, allowing single-family dwellings within the multifamily overlay district by updating permitted uses, dimensional standards, and definitions broadens housing options to better meet towns' diverse needs as outlined in the housing production plan. This change supports demand for both multifamily and single-family homes, especially for families and seniors seeking affordable ownership. It also enables developers to design mixed housing types, single-family, two-family, and multifamily within the district, promoting cohesive and adaptable neighborhood planning.
It's okay,
No issue there.
no issue.
2, consistency with community character. The master plan highlights the importance of preserving Townsend's rural, low-density character. Allowing single-family dwellings in the multifamily overlay district supports this goal by enabling developments that align with existing neighborhoods and addresses concerns about high-density multifamily projects. This amendment balances the MBTA community's requirements with residents' preferences, offering housing options that maintain neighborhood compatibility.
Well written.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yes. Okay. And then number 3, Beth, I would just think we need to bold that title as you've done with the other ones. So
Okay.
zoning overlay consistency, and it says overlay districts like the multifamily overlay district are meant to adapt flexibility, including single-family dwellings in its framework, ensures the district remains adaptable and aligned with both state mandates and local goals without needing separate zoning changes. This amendment also streamlines administration by integrating single-family standards into existing regulations.
I'm good
Yeah,
with that.
I'm good with that.
Okay. And there we have it. Well done.
Amen.
Okay.
Beth, do you have any questions or comments based on what we our comments?
No, I think I got it all. I think the important thing for the moderator at town meeting is to remember that Article 2 requires a majority vote to pass, and Article 3 is going to require the 2/3 vote to pass. That's not in the warrant, unfortunately. So, we'll just have to keep an eye on that, because I don't think the moderator automatically knows that. And it didn't get caught before it got printed in the warrant.
Wait a minute, where is that
So
again?
Article 2 requires majority vote.
So
and
that's
Article 3,
listed in this,
2/3.
in
It's right
our
in here.
report that we
Yep.
will send.
Mhm.
But what it says, Robert, is that Article 2, the MBTA one,
Yes,
that requires a majority vote to pass. And then Article 3, which we think is a bit more important, I think, or equally as important,
Yeah.
requires 2/3
2/3.
Yeah,
to pass.
it's right there. It's
Oh, boy.
right there. The 2/3.
But if one passes, I would hope that we would be able to artfully explain that we want 2 to pass because, 3 to pass, because we want the diversity in housing profile.
We want to be able to
We're
have.
attempting to encourage the diversity in housing profiles.
Yep.
And that's just
Perfect.
the bylaws.
Hmm.
Okay. All right, I think that covers 3.2. Prior to the public hearing, we received the 3.1. And Beth, you don't need any signatures on any of that? You need me to
Nope.
share partly as clerk?
Nope, I'll email those 2 out to the board tonight. And
You
then
have them in the back.
they'll go to print on Wednesday.
So, I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn at 8:53 PM.
I second the motion.
Second, all those in
Thank you
favor?
for your patience and tolerance.
Okay.
All right, I think you guys have.
Yeah.
Adjourned.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Beth.
Thank you.
Thank you, Beth.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Kieran.
Thank you. And,
Good night.
have a good night. So our next